Chapter 8. XR2 gets the go-ahead. Nastya was adapting to her new London life well. She could slip in and out of roles better than most leading actresses, and she enjoyed the subterfuge the part required. Far from seeing Boris Smirnov's long-term girlfriend JC as a threat, she considered her as an ally and potentially a friend. Perhaps even more than that, as the two would sometimes get together at Boris's Belgravia mansion, doing things that Boris would probably wish to have been watching, or even better, participating. A quick review of the investment activities of Boris's family office quickly revealed a pattern of incompetence and possibly theft, on a grand scale. The two British investment bankers Boris had recruited had managed to reduce his net worth by almost half the original amount, the $1 billion they had been given to manage. One of the two now boasted a lavish new house in Holland Park, while the other talked of retiring soon to a grouse shooting estate on the Yorkshire Dales. She would sort them out, but now had commissioned a forensic audit to confirm her suspicions. Nastya thought, I hope this playboy Boris doesn't allow them to squander any more of his money, or the boss might think that he has chosen the wrong guy to front our acquisition activities in Europe, and then I would probably get at least part of the blame. She carefully worded her reports back to Moscow, alluding to the need to tighten up investment procedures in London before launching the new fully paid-up First Eastern Fund, FEF. The fund formed to take major stakes in fledgling AI companies, young companies at an early stage of their development but with proven intellectual property and looking to raise funds from the capital markets. They often had significant running costs and not much immediate income on the horizon. Of course, if they made it as far as a successful IPO with a good reference client, they might get valued at hundreds of millions of dollars, but getting to that stage was a gamble. Not for the faint-hearted, as more failed than succeeded. But the ones that did succeed could become unicorns valued at over $1 billion. All the venture capitalists dreamed of trapping a unicorn, and AI was the hot sector right now. Many of the private equity funds, boasting that they helped such ventures, were well oversubscribed. They tended to go in when the risk-return profile had inverted, rather than risk their cash at an early stage. Their analysts were usually from a corporate finance background, with little real knowledge about what made an AI product exciting, rather than just another copycat offering, mostly show and little blow. The savvy investors of Silicon Valley were mooted to be better at this, but they rarely ventured outside of their own stamping grounds, as many of the supplicants went to them. Yet many did not, naively trusting that they would find their much-needed development capital around the bazaars of the city of London, Frankfurt, or even Paris. Their optimism did not reflect the reality on the ground or the insatiable appetite of the money men for loss-making enterprises, mostly investing other people's money rather than their own. At the least, that was the theory the First Eastern Fund hoped to exploit and quickly fill the gap with a more sympathetic approach, sympathetically acquiring the rights to some of the best AI startups on offer. Nastya was also charged with a second mission that had not so far been communicated to Boris, but was close to the heart of her mentor back in Moscow. Broadly speaking, this was the expansion of asymmetric warfare, to weaken Europe and cause dissent across Europe and NATO states in particular. Their diligence and perseverance had paid off in the last 2 years. Firstly, a campaign to support Brexit, which in its infancy was never given a chance when the pompous UK Prime Minister at the time, David Cameron, offered his country the chance to leave. This was assisted by the wave of online media that whipped up a frenzy amongst Brexit supporters. The second, more recent, was the seduction of Turkey, hitherto a staunch NATO member and no lover of the Russians, whose respective proxies had fought a bitter war against each other in Syria. The Turks proved that given the right incentives, they would forget the past and line their pockets for the future. An embattled President Erdogan, snubbed by nearly all European leaders, was eager for cash, oil, and anything else he could get, or put into his Islamic political party's coffers. It was almost embarrassing how little he was prepared to sell his soul for. They had given him a Russian missile system on bargain basement terms. That not only sealed the deal, but signaled to the other NATO members that he was no longer their man to boss around. He could play both sides if he felt like it. Exactly what Russia wanted. However, more mischief was on the cards, buoyed by these two major successes, both achieved with not much more than cappuccino money. The former KGB man and now FSB general thought they could further weaken their political opponents abroad and keep the hawks in the Kremlin satisfied for the moment. Urban unrest and dysfunctional systems both provided rich veins of opportunity. Every time some radical movement raised its head, like Occupy London, Black Lives Matter, and restless, lower-paid workers gained prominence, they immediately gained attention from the small but growing group of analysts and hackers the FSB's General Arkady Melnikov had put together. One movement they had previously dismissed came firmly back on the radar: the Extinction Rebellion, or XR, as it was often referred to. They first thought it an irrelevant, amateurish outfit run by a few old hippies, yet it had slowly but surely gained a worldwide following of loosely affiliated copycats. Now it was getting their attention, frequently hitting the headlines of the international media, even a short report getting onto some Russian TV news channels. Never against showing a bit of nudity, the Russians loved the sight of JC, disrobing and then sending all those fashion pansies running for the exits. Russia Today had even managed to secure an exclusive interview with her, while her famous Russian playboy lover sat on a cream sofa in the background. Arkady Melnikov wondered, does Smirnov even see the opportunity in front of his nose? He asked for a full file about the XR, including everything that was known about its founders and financial backers, and its allure suddenly became greater. He wanted to speak to Major Popova and have her look into this straight away. She was quick to respond to his call. "Firstly, General," Nastya said, "let me inform you that Project Blue, the first Eastern Fund, is now set up and ready to go. I have recruited 2 good analysts to search for, identify, and assess potential AI tech companies. We have also hacked the private networks of 2 of the leading private equity funds that look for the same kind of target, so we can feed off their research. And we have the private email of 4 of the leading angel investors, early-stage investors who invest early into these new tech startups. I should have some targets for investment identified before the end of the month." Melnikov came back with, "Very good, Major. As you know, the funds are in place now in the designated offshore accounts. Make sure Smirnov's English luckies keep their hands off them. We don't want to see that money disappearing in the same way much of Boris's own funds did. By the way, did you work out if they were just incompetent, dishonest, or a combination of the two? I guess it's a mixture of both, and we might want to assist Smirnov in calling them to account." "With all due respect, Comrade General, while I'm still looking into that, and while you are probably right, this would not be a good time to draw attention to our operations with an untimely demise of either of those fellows. But rest assured, if you and Smirnov want me to take care of them, I can do so swiftly and effectively. It would be a pleasure. One even dared to try and grab my arse in the office the other day." "Be careful," Melnikov said. "They must not suspect your real role, so I hope you will continue to use your charms rather than your other abilities. Anyway, well done so far with Project Blue. Now tell me about XR. Is it worth our attention?" "The answer is yes and no," Nastya answered, then said, "Please let me explain. The XR is what you see in the media and corresponds to the report I sent you earlier. It's a moribund, ineffectual organization, but it appears to have an interesting backer, Peter Amobi. You have seen his file already. While the Brits tolerate him, the US oil companies have been trying hard to get him arrested or extradited to Nigeria. In Nigeria, they want him dead, but seem unable or unwilling to shut him up. He now wants to expand the activities of the XR into a new, more assertive entity called XR2. Comrade Major, tell me how this is going to help us, Melnikov said, wanting to get faster to the bottom line. Nastya continued. This opportunity is now exciting, a great cover for us to disrupt normal life across Europe, and being partly under our control through funds we shall provide alongside those of Amobi, we will have a great cover. Climate activists rightly want to draw the world's attention to their cause, and we can claim complete and plausible deniability. Amobi will have his acolytes, a small team, running things, and if they need help, I can discreetly offer my services. That all sounds promising, Major, Melnikov said. Carry on working and keep me updated. We will continue our background checks into Amobi. It will serve well that they all have a past that will be flagged at the first sign of real trouble. Allow us to stay hidden and deny any knowledge, even if some of their funds are tracked back to Smirnov. He is also a strange guy. Keep him close and watch everything he does. Right now, I want you to deliver Project Blue fast. Yes, General. All clearly understood, and I'll be right on it, Nastya replied, without need for embellishment. XR2 was given the go-ahead with the backing from a very powerful organization. The unlikely alliance was not with exactly common interests, but the organization was prepared to work closely together to promote them. How they would do that was yet to be decided, but wide-scale disruption of normal life seemed to be the magic bullet to gain attention. Now, where to start?